guys, thanks for tuning in. This is optibotimus with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Generations Combiner Wars Devastator. Made up of 6 Voyager class Constructicon figures. This guy is absolutely massive and is the largest combiner ever built. For the package, you got a really cool image of Devastator wreaking havoc. You got a couple robots down here at the bottom kind of fighting. We got a car flipped over. You get an image of the Constructicons right there. It also includes a collector card. Around the top section here, you see an image of the toys in their individual modes. Down here just says Combiner Wars. Combiner Wars, what's it say on that side? Nothing on that side. Flip around here to the back of the package and it's actually kind of sideways. So let's stand them up a little bit, but that gets really, really large. Coming up here all the way to the top, you can see all the Constructicons there along the side that make up this massive figure. You can see that he's listed as 18 inches tall, and I like how they actually put like a little kind of ruler thing here along the side. That's that's kind of amusing, actually. And then all the way at the top here, it says, unrivaled strength and unchecked rage make Devastator a fearsome, destructive force who will crush anything in his path. And then you can see you got 1, which corresponds with Hook. You got 2, which corresponds with Long Haul. Scavenger over here is his right arm. You got Bonecrusher here for his left arm. And then, of course, Scrapper and Mixmaster. And Mixmaster is probably the one that's caused the most controversy just because of the way that his foot is kind of designed. So coming back down for the package, though, that's about it for it. It's absolutely massive, as you can see. And this image of Devastator is, like I said, the actual size. Well, flip it the right way. It's the actual size of the toy that you get. So really quite impressive. But for the packaging, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Constructicons open up and out of their packaging. And these guys really are terrific. Hasbro has done a great job of capturing both the G1 toy as cartoon likeness of these beloved characters. Now, that's not to say that I don't have a few problems with them. I actually do. But appearance-wise, they nailed it. But starting off first, let's take a look at the leader of the Constructicons, Scrapper. Now, as I did mention, these are all Voyager-sized figures, and you can see that they are fairly large. For a couple of comparisons, here we have the Voyager class Cyclonus and also the Deluxe class Off-Road. And you can see that Voyager-wise, he does fit nicely with what they're doing for their actual Voyager-sized figures. And being that, you know, they are Constructicons, they should be a little bit bigger than just regular cars. And I think that they did a great job here. I really do like this scale. I think it works very nicely. Is it full accurate? No, but it still looks pretty good. And getting it right out of the way right up front, here's the G1 version. You can see that the color is a little bit lighter on here, and this is a bit darker of a color, but all in all, I think they really did capture it. Like I said, they did a great job of getting kind of the G1 toy look while also nicely capturing that actual animation model. That being said, Scrapper does have some problems. Not so much here in his vehicle mode, but more so in his actual robot form. For his articulation here, you can see that this section does have a hinge, and then you got a hinge right here. So you can get some scooping action going on with him. You can have him drive around with there. You got some nice rolling wheels. People have complained that they are a little bit cheap in terms of the wheels, and you can kind of see that they would pop off if probably wiggled pretty hard, but I don't mind them. I mean, I don't know really what people expect from it, but I still think it looks pretty good. Now, to transform them, come around here, we're going to just angle that back, loosen this, get that off to the side, bring this down just like so. This section here is going to rotate down, and then you bring this bottom section out, and then you got a little hole section here that's going to tab in right there. So you just bring that in, that locks that into place. Do that on this side as well. Rotate that down, tab that in. You can split these legs. It's a little bit easier to kind of like, you can see it kind of hooks in. It's a little bit easier to kind of push forward and then split them apart. Then come around here, rotate the hand around. Do that on that side as well. Then take this whole section, angle this back like so, back like so. That's going to give him a little bit more free range here with his actual shoulders. Reach in here, grab his head, pull this up. Then this section here, rotate this. You can position this however you want, really. It's personal preference. You can go like that. You can I think the instructions tell you to go like that where it's collapsed, but I don't know. Some people might like having it
more like that, I guess. I guess it's personal preference, but I'm gonna go like that. But once you're done straightening everything out, getting him able to stand there nicely, there you have Scrapper in his robot mode. And again, for a comparison, here you see his G1 self, and you can see the big size difference. But it still nicely carries over. I mean, you can see a lot of the same elements. You got the wheels up on the upper part of the arm. You also got them down here, very similar to what's going on with the G1 figure. You got the purple section. You got the nice Decepticon logo there. You also have the head that slides up. I mean, that's really cool. One thing, though, that I don't like about this figure, and this is my biggest, I guess, complaint, is there is no elbow joint here. It does rotate, but there is no elbow joint. That's really it. And unfortunately, that's exactly what the G1 toy had as well. So it's kind of unfortunate. Now, I do kind of understand why they did it. Probably has a little bit more stability in combined mode, but honestly, Takara is coming out with their version of the Constructicons, and they are putting in elbow joints. So it's a little bit unfortunate that Hasbro didn't do that as well. Now, the reason behind it, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation out there, but I still think that the guy's a good-looking figure. He does have a little bit of a hard time kind of standing, at least on my rounded table here, but you can get him to stand, but it looks very back heavy-ish at some points, but real great. I mean, the likeness on here is phenomenal. I love the way that the head sculpt looks. You can see you get a nice range of motion. It looks up and down. You can get it rotating side to side. The shoulders move all the way around. They move in and out, so you get a nice range of motion there. They do rotate here, but that's honestly part of the transformation. Nothing at the waist, unfortunately, and you can see that the head does have a tendency to slide down sometimes. It doesn't really, oh no, it actually does lock. I'm sorry. You make sure you have to pull it up all the way, and then you can see that you're going to have a little purple section that comes up. So make sure you pull that all the way up, then you get the full secured look. The hips move forward and back. They move in and out. They rotate at the upper part of the thigh. He's got a bend here at the knee, and then you got forward or side to side ankle tilt, so you can get some wide poses with him. But well, and then it does move forward and back, but it doesn't seem to have a very sturdy foundation. I mean, if you spread it out like that, you can get it to stand pretty good. But all in all, I really like the guy. I just wish that he had elbow joints. It's something that I don't see why they couldn't have done it, especially, like I said, since Takara is coming out with their own figure with the elbows put in there. Just seems like a completely missed opportunity by Hasbro. Now, to go into his combined mode, we're going to start with the legs, just because it's a little bit easier. We're just going to rotate all this around, bring this down. This section here, you're going to angle this, and then you got a little tab here. When you push all the way in, you got a little tab that's going to snugly fit in right there. So just bring that around. That'll lock that into place. Do that as well there. Take these little feet, rotate them, or the little hands, rotate them all the way around, and then you rotate that to the back, just like so. That gives it a little bit of a heel. And then you got a little notch right here, actually, on this section right there. It's probably a little bit hard to see, but right on that upper shoulder bit, you rotate that form around, and then you can see a little notch section that locks it into place very nicely. Then just bring that down. We're going to separate this, rotate this down, separate this, rotate this, hook those two sections together, and then this you can just leave like this. You're going to use this to kind of attach and securely grab Scrapper to long haul, but adjusting it down like that. There you have him in his leg mode, and we'll show that off more here in a little bit. Oh, and actually I should have shown you this rotates here for, I believe, more his robot mode, but you can have it rotated there as well. I guess it really doesn't matter. So you do have that section right there, but there's both his robot mode, vehicle mode, and now here's his leg mode. Now coming to the next leg for Devastator, here we have Mixmaster, and much like Scrapper, this guy's kind of got a bit of backlash from the fans in the way that he was designed. Most specifically in the way that his foot looks. Mostly because this section here is going to be his toe. Generally speaking, I don't think it looks too terribly bad. A lot of people feel that he's backwards though. And honestly, I absolutely can see that. It doesn't bother me all that much, and I'm happy with how he is, but I do think that he could look a little bit better. Now, for a size comparison with him, again, here's his G1 self, and obviously the G1 toy did not have the purple barrel, but you can see what they're kind of talking about in terms of being backwards. This is kind of how he should look. especially having this part right here being the foot. That part being the foot is a little bit weird for a lot of people, but this is the front of them. This is how we're supposed to be. So yeah, it does look backwards. I mean, there's no question about it. He absolutely does look like he's backwards, which is really strange. And then again, for a deluxe figure comparison, again, I think that this works really well. A construction vehicle would be bigger than this, specifically a cement truck. So I don't mind that. I think the scale is pretty good. A lot of people are saying that they think the Constructicons and specifically Devastator are just too big, but Devastator was a massive combiner and really should be the biggest. So I really think that the scale works pretty nicely. Now for Mixmaster's transformation, first we're going to take this, loosen this up. Well, take this, I should have done in the first place, and then just kind of wiggle that up just like so. Detach this, rotate these around, and then we're going to split these legs just like so, and then spin that around just like that. Basically, there you have his legs already done. Then take this, take that, fold that all the way back, reach around here, bring out his head, bring this forward, lock that into place, and very easily, there you have the Mixmaster in his robot mode. Now again, some people have complained basically because of the way that he looks. I don't think it's all that bad, but this does look a little bit weird. There's nothing really you could do about it, but it is strange. There's really no question about it. And one thing that I will say is that you can see that these legs are a little bit loose, so he kind of flops back a little bit. I could probably put a pledge with Future Shine in there. What is going on here? I want to detach this. Oh, that's his. What is that? Oh, you know what that is? That's a heel for his leg. I never even noticed that before. I'm glad that I noticed that now, because I'll be able to show that off properly in the video. But you can see that he does have a tendency to want to lean back if you don't have things spread in that position a little properly. For his G1 comparison, here he is. I do really like how, I mean, you had this little bit right here that was an add-on that you had to plug in. I do like how they actually have that molded into his actual sculpt itself. I think that's really quite cool. But all in all, really cool look. Again, you got that really nice kind of G1 head, which really does give a very Decepticon look to it. That's really cool. And I mean, it's just, again, it looks like he's kind of upside down. I mean, flipping around like that, that's kind of what he should look like, I guess. But I mean, it is a weird look. I think if they designed him kind of reversed, it probably would have eliminated this weird looking thing. But again, I don't think he's terrible. I think that he could have been a little bit better, but I'm happy with how he actually turned out. And again, I didn't do this with Scrapper, but here's a Alpha Bravo to kind of give you a deluxe scale figure to compare with. And you can see a really large robot here. Really cool. Very simple, but I think it's effective, and I dig it. Now, for his articulation, the head does have a bit of a ball joint. Kind of hard to get to because you got this whole section right here, but you can get it turning all the way around. You got shoulders that rotate. You got the flex in and out. He actually does have an elbow, but it's kind of weird. I'll be totally, it's just like a little hinge, but at least he can bend his arm up. So it's a little bit better than nothing. But when you have that little bit for an actual elbow joint, it's going to look weird. No rotation at the waist. The hips move forward and back. As you can see, they can move in and out. They rotate here at the upper part of the thigh. Bend at the knee. Nothing forward and back at the ankle, but he can bend his ankles outward, so you could get wider poses with them as well, and then keep the feet actually on the ground. One thing that you're noticing is that none of these guys really have individual weapons. That's something else that Takara is fixing, which I'll comment here in a little bit. Now, to get him into his actual leg mode, we're going to just straighten these out. Take this section, fold this back, tuck that in. We're going to fold that out because, hey, what do you know? I never noticed that before. Then you take this section. We're going to rotate this around, bring this together, tab that together like so. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Take that. Before you tab it together, then take this and swivel this bit out. Come on. There we go. Get that out just like so. Do that on this side as well. Then you can put these two halves together, close that back up, bring that together just like so. You're going to bring this up, lock that into place, and then this is going to accordion back and up and lock in very similar to his actual cement truck mode, but normally it was like that. I never would have even thought of that, to give him an actual heel. So leaving it like that, there you have his leg, and this is where you're seeing this looks kind of thin. It does look thin, but again, I don't think it looks overly terrible. I do think that it would look better, but I'm able to kind of go with it. And it is a third-party company that's coming out with a replacement for this. I don't know what they're actually going to do, because this is pinned in there, and that's what his head is actually attached to. So maybe it's just something that clips over it or something. You got little bits right here. Maybe you're able to kind of just lock it on there and kind of have it wrap around. So other than that, there you have his leg. So you do have his left leg as well as his right leg, and you see just how big these guys are going to actually look in his combined mode. It's really very cool. But now coming to the biggest guy in this whole set, and here we have Long Haul, and this guy is massive. One thing that's interesting though is the instructions really don't show this, but you can actually store all of Devastator's extra accessories on the back of Long Haul here. You can remove, these are going to become his arms. You can see you got little holes right there that peg things in. These just basically tab right in here, kind of just locking into place. So getting that off to the side, you got a little notch section right here that fits on the hole underneath the handle. Removing this piece right here, you got a little hole right there for the barrel of his gun, and then right up here on the top, you got a hole that pegs in. So it's weird that all these accessories can peg onto them. I guess it's weapon storage, but these are supposedly the weapons. Honestly, I mean, you got these ones, which will become the hands for Devastator. You kind of have missile pods there, I guess you could say. I don't really know. I mean, you can use this. You got a little handle here. You could use this as a gun. You could use this as a gun. It's kind of ugly. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess, and then I don't even know what you would do with this, or how you can attach this, put that like that or something. I honestly have no idea what you could do with it. I guess you got a handle here, maybe just use those as guns, but it's kind of ridiculous. Now, like I said, Takara will be coming out with individual weapons for all of them, but that has also kind of made some fans a little bit angry. They've added articulation and will be giving weapons to the individual figures. So again, I can see where some fans are a little bit annoyed. Now, this guy, I mean, again, this thing is huge. You can see how big he is. For comparison, here's his G1 self. Again, color-wise is a little bit different, but all in all, it holds true to kind of how he actually looked. I really actually kind of like this. Now, granted, he's gargantuan, and for a vehicle mode comparison, here he is. And I guess, I mean, a dump truck is gonna be huge like this, so I guess it works. But this guy, in his robot mode, kind of looks weird. Vehicle mode here, it doesn't really do much. I mean, you can have him roll. This section doesn't really fold back or anything, so you can't really act like he's a dump truck, but the guy is just gigantic. Now, to transform him, you want to loosen this whole section. You kind of have to wiggle this a little bit. Get this out. You can see that creates now a giant gap here, so you're going to angle this up, just kind of get it out of the way, detach this, and then you're going to spin this all the way around, and then come around here, spread his legs out, and then rotate these little bits. Then rotate that around and rotate that around, and those are going to be his legs. These sections right here, just kind of keep this angled out like that, then bring this all the way down. This is going to lock into place, and then you got some little tabs right here that are going to lock up. You angle these arms up, and that locks in right there. So again, angle that up, that locks in right there. Bring this back, this section right here. It's kind of tricky, but reach in there, grab it, pull this head all the way forward, try to get it as far as possible. It doesn't seem like it comes up anymore, but there you have the Long Haul in his robot mode. Again, one thing that people kind of complain about is the stumpiness of him, and there's no question he's stumpy. I mean, for, again, a comparison, Here's his G1 self as well as the deluxe class Alpha Bravo. The legs are just kind of stumpy. I mean, there's no question about it. I know that that's a big complaint for a lot of people. It just looks really weird. I mean, he's massive already, and he just looks like a giant sumo wrestler. Also, his only articulation in his arms is that they rotate out. Again, Takara's coming out with forward rotation here for the elbow, so it will be a better figure just in general by design. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but he's just huge. Now, I can't remember who I saw do it. I think I saw Pia actually retweet this, but he showed somebody putting his legs kind of like this and angling that down. That makes him a little bit taller, actually. And honestly, I don't think that looks all that bad. You kind of have to get it positioned properly. It does take away kind of his own sort of, I guess, knee. But I mean, generally speaking, and just fiddling with this to get him to actually kind of balance and stand here, you could do that, I guess, if you really wanted to make him stand a little bit better. Again, though, I mean, it doesn't really have too good of a stable stand. Oh, I guess maybe if you do that, that makes him a little bit taller, but then you got this weird leg thing going. So can't really say that that's a good way of fixing his legs. It is one way, but otherwise you just got this big giant dude. So for his articulation, you got the head, which rotates left and right, very stiff, but again, great head sculpt, very, very reminiscent of Long Haul, especially in the cartoons. The rotation here at the shoulders, they kind of move in and out. If you rotate this out, you can get a little bit more outward rotation. The elbows, like I said, don't really bend anywhere. You can bend them out, but who wants to display Long Haul like that? The waist does rotate. It is part of the transformation, and it's also going to serve as Devastator's waist as well. So that is there. The hips move forward and back. Again, heavy ratchet joints, because these will be the upper thighs for him, but you can hear just how strong those are. He does bend here at the knee, and then the ankles do flex inward, so you can spread them out, get a nice pose with them, kind of standing right there with the legs a little bit spread. Looks pretty good. I really can't complain too much. Now, I do wish that the elbows were a little bit better, but there is going to be a fix for that. Now, to go into his torso-ish mode, we're going to take the head, tuck that down. Theoretically, you're supposed to bring this all the way back and lock that in, but you can just leave it there, and not tabbing it in allows you to actually rotate the waist. When you tab it in there, it kind of locks it all, so you're kind of stuck. Angle this out just like so. Do that on this side. We're going to then rotate this section all the way around, and as you can see, that's going to be the front of Devastator here. So angling these bits up, get that up there like so, then take these, take this section, rotate this in, rotate that in, kind of angle this kind of out one notch just to make it a little bit easier, and then rotate these bits down just like so. I do wish there was a way that this section here would lock, because it kind of makes it, I mean, you could rotate it around and it's still, I mean, at least it bends backwards or something, but I don't particularly like, I mean, you got the knee section right here, but then you got this section that bends forward, so that's a little bit strange. But stabilizing it like so, getting it all there. This is basically his torso mode. Well, this is going to go up like that, but we'll fiddle with that here in a little bit when we do the arm configuration. So now, attaching these guys, you come around here to the back, you see this little section right down in here. Actually, I'm sorry, you have to rotate this out. This little section here on the side rotates out. I missed the step, so rotate that out like that. You got this little slot section right here, and then you got this little nub that is going to come in, kind of line that up, and then you just slide it forward. And then right up in here, you can see that you got a little grabby notch right there that you just push this in and kind of angle it in there. This is going to slot in the upper section right up here. Give that a nice little push, and then this section here will lock. Do that on this side as well. Push that in, locks that into place. And there you have one of his legs. Bringing in Scrapper, it's basically the same thing. Like I said, you got a little slot notch thing right here. Then you got the notch for it right there. Just bring that in, push that forward, just like so. Bring this up, kind of keep that down. Then you're going to push this in at the top and then push this right there. That locks that. Do that on this side as well. Slide that up. Get that to line up and slot in right inside there. There we go. Just like that. Straighten this out. Kind of get this positioned properly. Let me just make sure I have all the legs spaced properly for articulation purposes. And then the best way to get them to stand is you can actually angle, well, let's try this side, angle 1 or 2 notches. You can see it bends just like that to give a little bit of flex. This guy's got that too. Where is it at? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Actually, for his leg, you need to keep these detached and angle these back just like so. Then that allows you to bend it like that. So once you have that, keep that little heel spur out, angle this, and there you can see Devastator's legs coming together, forming his lower section and kind of his abdomen area, and you can just see how big this guy really is getting. Up next we have Hook, and again, a figure that is really close, but not quite there. Part of the problem is the actual, well, crane thing. As you can see, it does lift up and down, but it doesn't rotate or anything of that nature, and it also doesn't extend, and that's kind of unfortunate. I really wish that they actually included something like that. I don't know why they couldn't. When you look at the bottom, it's all just hollow underneath here, so to me, it's just a missed opportunity. It's pretty good, and obviously when you compare it to its G1 self, I mean, it's pretty spot on, but again, you got this section that can lift, it can also rotate, this can extend out. I mean, all of those little bits really should have been included, I feel. Everything else, I mean, obviously looks very similar, so you're not really losing much. And the other thing that's kind of cool is, if you remember, the original G1 figure had this just empty cavity here. This actually has the head that's built into it, so that's really cool. I appreciate that. It was something that could work with this figure. When you look at Bonecrusher and Scavenger, the arms are separate pieces. Much like all the other Combiner War figures, they didn't force the actual limb parts like hands unnecessarily into the figures. Hook here, it actually works because, like I said, you just had this empty gap here. So you could put it there. So it's pretty good. It just, like I said, close, but just not quite there. And that's a little bit unfortunate, and it's mostly with just this crane bit. Now, to transform him, we're going to come around here. We're going to loosen this up. These legs transform very much like how actually a Scrapper's legs transform. So you just detach this, rotate this down, kind of get this down there. We're going to angle this like so, and then these come around here, and there's actually a little tab section. You just kind of get this angled and you pull this section off. So not always the best of functionality with this guy, but getting that popped back in there, it just pops in. So getting that straight, angling this properly, and then bringing this up, you're just going to set it right there. Do that on this side. Again, angle that down. Getting this swiveled all the way back. And actually, did that swivel all the way back? No, there we go. There we are. And then you just lock that in there. Bring this in. Got that little tab. That kind of just folds. Keep that leg straight. There we go. And then just bring this in. It's kind of a fiddly little thing right there. There we go. There you have that done. This section sometimes detaches. Just keep that pushed down. These arms, angle these down just like so. Kind of come around here, pull out his hands. That locks. You can loosen up those elbows. Do that there as well. Fold this out just like so. This section here will collapse down. Keep that locked in. Collapse that all the way down just like so. And then keep that straight. Why is that not collapsed? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's what I forgot to do. This whole section here does have to slide over like that. That clears all this gap. So then you bring that all the way in, and then that clears, like I said, this section right here where this piece will now be on the outside like that. Kind of put the little hook thing down. Again, this part here doesn't like tab or staying tabbed in. You got to really push hard up there, and then rotate his head, and there you have Hook. Again, great figure. It could be better, though, I really think. One of the problems that I have is that you kind of have to use the hook thing here to stabilize them. The feet don't really, at least on mine, are fairly loose. So I probably could tighten that. That's not much of an issue, but you're using that kind of to balance them. I guess you did use that a little bit too on the original G1 toy. Now, unfortunately, you can't really see what's going on because I got the camera all the way down, but unfortunately, my G1 toy has long since been broken here at the leg. So, I mean, I guess you do always kind of use that little crane to kind of balance them. So that's what you're looking at in terms of a scale. And he's cool. I do dig him. One thing that is a little bit strange and looks to my eye a little bit weird, he looks like he's got a very long torso and then the legs are a little bit shorter. That's weird to me. I'm not a huge fan of that, but Hook is a character that I've really always liked. He's got kind of an attitude about him, and I dig it. But figure-wise, pretty good. Again, you got the same elbow situation here where you just got this small little bit right there that actually comes together for his elbow. But all in all, a decent-looking representation, but again, I just feel that it could be a little bit better. One thing that I will say is that while Devastator just having him by himself is very, very cool, and as a combiner, one of the most impressive, and you'll see that shortly. The one thing I'll say about the aerial bots, Stunticons, and even the protective bots is that individually they looked great. You could have them as standalone figures, and they were really quite impressive. These guys still are, and I mean, you can see such an awesome looking cartoon representation here. But it just feels as if the individual modes are lacking a little. Now, since Hook here creates the upper torso and head, we're going to go to that mode right now. So tuck these bits away. You're basically taking them and putting them back into his vehicle form. So loosen this up. Rotate this. Come on, get this. There we go. That will accordion back like so. Kind of get that. There we go. Like that. That's going to just fold up there. Do that on this side as well. Kind of pull that away. And then that's going to accordion up there. Push those two sections together. Kind of just rest those right along there. Come around here with this. You can then take these, or this back section here, you want to lift this up, collapse this up, rotate the head around, obviously. Kind of bring that back down. Bring these bits up like so. And like I said, you're basically putting them back into his vehicle mode. But at this point here, now you take these, leave these bent down, and then take this and split this section, and then split this section. This is a little bit tough, especially if you really push that connector bit. But you can see that quality-wise, you're pulling, and it feels like something is a little bit too tight. So be careful when you're doing it, but you're just going to bring that all the way around, just like so. Take these, rotate that around. This section here, you kind of get in here, fold that out just like that. Take this, make sure that you leave this. You can leave it over there. It's not going to do any good. You need to keep it over here. But then take this, rotate this out, accordion that all the way down. You got little clamps right here that you just push down. There you have Devastator in his, well, Hook, I should say, in his upper body configuration. Angle this. This section here is just going to go right back there. So now for the combiner ports, you got these bits right here. They're obviously a little bit different. These are not, this is not meant to be a Scramble City combiner. So you have a little bit different of a clamp mechanism. You can see it's a little bit of a hook. This section right here, get it, hook. Rotate that out like so. Bring that back down, and there you have his, like I said, upper torso. Now, bringing this in, it is a little bit complicated. You got a couple different points that have to attach. You got, keep this up there. You got this little section right here that's going to attach. This section right here that's going to attach. You got a bit right there. You got a bit right here actually as well that has a connection bit, and then this. So keep that all in one place. There we go, just like that. It's a little bit tricky to do. You just bring this whole thing down, kind of line everything up, and you push everything. You got that section right there. Bring that there, kind of push that there, push that down, and then you just go through, kind of just set it in there, and then try your best to line everything up. Like I said, it's a little bit tricky because you got to look underneath here. So there's that section, this section right here will come together and slot in right there. Again, tough to see. Then make sure this one here in the back is there, pushing that all the way down. It's especially these, like I said, you got a lot of different connecting bits underneath here. One thing that I'll say is that it's a good solid connection, so I appreciate that. There we go. And I think that's all of them. And there you have the kind of upper body of Devastator actually now put together. You do want to make sure that these stay up. They will kind of clip into place. That's going to actually tab onto something here in a minute. But you're just straightening all this stuff up. But you can see that we're now more than halfway done combining this guy. And again, size-wise, it's absolutely incredible. I'm coming back here and you're seeing a lot of side bits here. But you can see just how huge this guy is starting to get. For a size comparison right up front, there is the deluxe class, the Alpha Bravo. Holy cow! Now next up we have Scavenger, and both Scavenger and Bonecrusher are probably the most well-rounded figures. As you can see, he has that very nice kind of scoop thing. Unfortunately though, doesn't rotate like the original toy did. I guess that's something that had to be sacrificed when you consider that a lot of it is actually connected. There's no way to actually make that rotate. So it doesn't bother me really all that much. And like I said, just in general, it's a very well-rounded figure. You got the scoop right here. It's articulated at 2 points here, and then it also can rotate. That's kind of helpful when you transform it. It gives you different options, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. This section here doesn't rotate. I guess you don't really need it to, but all in all, a good representation of how his G1 self looked. This obviously did rotate, but like I said, everything else is pretty much there. And you can see just size-wise what you're basically looking at in terms of the original toy and the new guy, and just still using off-road because that's the only Combiner Wars Deluxe figure that I have in actual vehicle mode right now. You can see, again, size is pretty good. He probably should be a little bit bigger, but I think all in all, the oversized nature of him still carries through here pretty nicely. And I think that the scale's fairly decent. One thing that I like is around here on the bottom, they actually did put wheels. You got like this one section right here that is all just one giant wheel, and then you got 2 wheels right here. So it does roll. The treads obviously don't work. Those are going to become his legs, but I like how they actually did put real rolling tires on there so that you do get that kind of motion. Really nice though. I mean, the color is a little bit more bright, obviously, like all the other ones. I think the color would be toned down a little bit better in the Takara one. I like the little small Decepticon logo there. All in all, like I said, fairly nice looking figure. Now to transform him, we're going to detach the legs right up here, get that completely pulled away, just kind of rotate those, get them down and out, then take this section, rotate that down, rotate this section in, rotate this section in, then this bit right here is going to rotate right there, come around here to this side, lift this up, and then you can lift that up as well. This section right here, you do some collapsing, collapse that up, and then detach this, and then that will collapse fully, and then rotate this around, getting those out of the way, bring that up, that'll lock into place just like so. Take these legs, extend them down on both sides, make sure that you pull them all the way down so that they click, and then these bits right here fold and create his little feetums. Do that on this side as well, just like that, just like that. Come around here, you got the little hands underneath there. I'm going to use my one fingernail to pull it out. Look, success! Yay, fingernails! I'll pull that out. Oh, wait, did I fail? No, maybe that fingernail is not quite good enough. Oh, there we go. Got that out just like so. Then you can bring this down. Now the instructions actually kind of show you to leave it like this, and you can do that, but in a lot of scenes we actually saw him with his hook more down like that. So that's how I'm gonna leave it. I know a lot of people will probably do it like that, and I think that's perfectly acceptable, but that's one thing that's really nice by having that little rotation right there. You can get a little bit more of a cartoon accurate look. But go like that, fold this down, pull this head out like so, collapse this back up, and there you have Scavenger. And again, like I said, I think, make sure that you collapse his little hip sections all the way, and they were out like that. clip those in just like that. All in all, I think that, like I said, him and Bonecrusher are probably the most well-rounded figures, and I think come together the best. Looks-wise, he does have a great resemblance to his G1 self, both toy and cartoon. And bringing in his toy counterpart, one thing that I really like is that you got this section right here, which was initially the actual attach point for Devastator. This is not the case here on the new Generations figure, but they still kind of kept that kind of faux look there where this is a little bit extended out. I really dig that. It's a really, really nice touch, but everything else very nicely both homages the toy, and then when you look at the head, very nicely homages the actual cartoon. Everything comes together with this guy very nicely. And then again, robot comparison, here we have him next to Alpha Bravo, who is a deluxe figure, really does kind of pale in comparison to the size of a Voyager class Scavenger, so I really dig it. For his articulation, you can see you got a little bit of a joint right here, or ball joint, allows a little bit of up and down motion, not a heck of a lot side to side. It can rotate obviously left and right. The shoulders here are on ball joints, so you get a nice full range of motion there, and then the elbows also are a ball joint, so that actually looks pretty good. And then I think that the elbows actually look a little bit nicer here than on some of the other figures. They're just bulkier, so you got a full range of motion there, nothing at the waist. All this part kind of eliminates that. You got ball joints here for the hips, you got a joint here for the knee. It's a ball jointed knee, so you get a nice range of motion there as well. You got some ankle tilt that can allow some much wider poses, I guess, if you really want to be dynamic. I'm not very dynamic. And then nothing really going forward and back, although the toes can kind of collapse, so I mean, I guess that's possible if you wanted to pose them in a weird kind of way like that. But all in all, like I said, I think one of the better Constructicons, at least in this set, but you know, your opinion may vary. Now, to go back to well, his arm mode, you basically have to take him all the way back to his actual vehicle mode. So tuck the head down, kind of put that there. This is going to rotate back, this is going to rotate up, just kind of move everything around just like so. I'm kind of going a little bit quick with this because you guys have already been with me for a long time, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just fold this foot down just like that, collapse this section up and in, do that on that side as well. Separate this tabs in there very securely up in this waist area, so pull that out just like that, fold that, get all this spread out, and you're going to rotate those around just like that, and then put it right up around there. Bring this section all the way up, make sure that you have this positioned properly. You're going to tab these arms in along the side. There you go, right there. Tab that in, give that a nice little squeeze, position that right there, then swivel these down. This whole section swivels down just like that. Clip that together, bring this, tab that in. You got a little tab section here that tabs on the inside of the tire or tank treads. Well, not really tank treads, but construction vehicle treads, I guess you could say, maybe. Tab that there, tab that there. So basically, that's what you have. Well, rotate that around. That's what you want to get it to. Then just kind of detach this, and then pull this whole section out like so. Kind of just leave these tabs just like so in the back section here. Bring this around, and then this is where you actually will pull in this section right here. You got this little piece right here that's just kind of like the handle. If you wanted to use this as a weapon, you could have them hold it right there, but that's how it also tabs into long haul. So just put that away, rotate this around like so. You got a peg right here that's going to come around and slot inside there like that. So just push that in there, and there you have, and then rotate the fist around, I suppose. Get that. You want to be careful when you're rotating around, because this doesn't, I mean, you can see that comes off. It's just held on by a couple little round pins up in there that doesn't really securely grab it on there. I mean, it's not coming off or anything, but when you're rotating it, it does kind of want to separate every now and then. So positioning that, there you have his arm. Well, specifically his right arm. I mean, you can see just how big and massive that is. And then coming all the way up to the top, this is a little bit tricky to do, but what you want to do is you got the little connector bit right here and this. All you do is just slam it in there all the way till it clicks into place. It'll be secure and everything, and then what you want to do is lift this look around underneath here. You got the arm of long haul with that little tab on that side. So then you bring this section in and you tab that back tread actually to that. The front one doesn't go anywhere. That's going to tab into his actual chest compartment. So that'll be secured up here. But this back section is secured by this. So once you bring that down, you can position that. I actually put that right there just to complete that look a little bit. Then angle that down, and you can see he's starting to come together pretty well, don't you think? And finally, we come to Bonecrusher. And again, this is a guy along with the Scavenger that I think really do round out the best parts of the individual modes of the Constructicons themselves. Again, much like him, he's got these wheels here on the bottom that allow for rolling back and forth. The treads don't really do anything, but you got a really cool look with the guy. You can articulate his little scoop here up and down. For a comparison, obviously here's his G1 self, and that's a little bit different. You got this little canopy thing here. You don't really have that there, but all in all, it's a very similar representation. Obviously much smaller, but still really cool. And then for a deluxe vehicle comparison, you can see that the arms seem to be a little bit smaller than the legs and the rest of the torso pieces. This is a little bit closer of a scale, but still, Bonecrusher is a bigger figure, a little bit more bulky, I guess, more than anything else, but still really cool. I like the paint detail. You got the silver on there. You got the big Decepticon logo there. All in all, pretty decent. And like I said, in addition to Scavenger, probably one of the best. So detaching this, getting this kind of out of the way, you're just going to extend that out, get that out, rotate that out just like so. This part can be a little bit tricky here, but I'll show that here in a minute. Then you just kind of angle this, pull this whole section out, get that, there we go, put that all the way out like so. Then these bits, they're going to separate, and then just rotate that around just like that. This is obviously going to come up and become his chest. This section here, just rotate that down, rotate this bit back. That gets really stiff, but it comes back pretty easily. Rotate that back. This whole section, accordions, backing in. Let's see, get that all the way down. Bring that forward just like that. Hopefully you can see all that. I just noticed the camera was a little bit low. So keeping that collapsed up like so, extending these arms, bring that back, kind of push those in there. That'll kind of lock in along the side there. Not really too much, just kind of stabilizes there. And then rotate these down, bring that, rotate that down, get this up. We're going to just set this, accordion that down just like that. Now this part, like I said, can be a little bit tricky. Kind of get this out of the way. You have to rotate these around and then keep this straight up, and then these little bits right here kind of hook together. It's not the easiest because you got a little tab section on the inside here with the black bits that you have to keep them completely straight across in order to get that gap covered. So once you get it, it's pretty easy, but getting it there is a little bit difficult. So kind of see, and then you wiggle it and then it pops all the way out. So there we go. And it's not a completely secure connection there, but it's not terrible, I guess. Pull this out just like so, but you can see that just detaches. Pull that out. Maybe we'll do that here in a minute. Rotate these. Get that. There we go. Get that all the way around. Do that on this leg as well. Pull that up like that. And then again, these just, you're kind of fiddling with these, kind of hooking them together, but they don't seem to like grabbing too well. So you're kind of left at the mercy of how it actually functions, but it's not a terrible design. It's just not probably the best executed, but straightening this all out, getting that there, collapsing that, and there you have Bonecrusher in his robot mode. And again, I do think that he is a better overall figure than some of the other ones, much like Scavenger actually is. It just comes together a little bit better, I do feel. And then for his comparison, obviously, here's his G1 self, and big size difference here. This guy's just kind of microcosmic by comparison. And then for the deluxe comparison, here we have him next to Alpha Bravo again. And you can see, in robot mode, he gets considerably bigger. So while deluxe form, he's a little bit kind of on par, robot form really does get pretty impressive. Now, he's very similar to Scavenger in the way that he's articulated. You got the rotation here at the head, doesn't really look up and down. but you got the ball joint here at the shoulders as well as the actual elbow, so you get a nice range of motion there. You have nothing here at the waist. It's all just kind of connected right there. The hips move forward and back. They move in and out. They detach a lot right there. That's kind of unfortunate, but I don't know. That's as much as I like this guy, I do have to say that this section right here does not come together very cohesively. It's not a really well thought out thing. I feel I think they could have done a much better job connecting these bits, and it's just not the best. That's one thing that's very disappointing. You can't really move this all that much without it wanting to detach. He rotates here at the knee itself. He does move forward and back. It's also on a ball joint. He also does have the ankle tilt so that you can get wider poses with him. And I mean, in general, this guy, like I said, really has one of the best looks. It's, as I said with some of the other figures, when you look at the individual modes, and just kind of fiddling with this, when you look at some of the individual modes, they don't stack up, I feel, like the individual modes of the other Combiner Wars figures. But the Bonecrusher as well as Scavenger, I really think do. Now, to get him into his limb mode, you're, again, basically going all the way back to his vehicle mode. So we're going to rotate his head. We're going to detach this, lift this up, get that up and out of the way, rotate that around. Rotate that around. I gotta be honest, I'm not transforming this guy all that much, so I might not be doing too well with this guy. I might actually keep his head like that. There we go. Bring that back down like so. Angle this around. You're gonna bring this back around, and that goes like that. Bring that around. Rotate that. That'll tab together just like so. This section here comes up, and these are going to lock in right there. You might as well leave this bit out because you're going to need that for his arm connection, so just completely extend that out. Take this, fold this down, do that this side as well. Come on, there we go. Clip that in there, collapse these legs, collapse these legs. This whole section you can detach, which is perfectly fine because it's going to want to detach itself anyhow. Keep that angled down like that. And then what do we got going on here? Then angle this around and tab that right in there. Angle this around, tab that in right there, and then you just basically take this. You can take this and you can leave it like this. It's personal preference. Actually, you should leave it up like that because you need to be able to rotate this section because that's going to be his arm. So you want to make sure that you angle that forward like that, but you can then leave it like that or however you really want to. But now bringing in his arm, again, very similar thing. You got the little hole right here with the little pin on the inside there. You just bring that in and, oh, nope, sorry, opposite side. There you go. Tab that in just like that. Rotate that around like that. Kind of get his hand rotated around just like so, and keep that there. There you have his arm configured. So bringing in the big guy, again, you got the little square connector bit. You got that section right there. So just bring that in, get that a good push. That's kind of tough to get in there, but get that in there. Lift this up, and then again, you got the lower arm section of long haul that you bring this back tire section in. Push that in, lower that, kind of keep that there and everything. That detached a little bit, so see if you can, or I'll see if I can get that attached back up there. There, it's right there. Come on, what are you doing? There you go, get in there. There we are. So set that there, and then I bent his leg. You don't want to bend that just yet, so straightening that out, bringing that back down. That detaches sometimes, so angle that down like so. Basically, you're just about there. The final piece comes in taking these and putting these guys together. So you just basically line all this up. You got a little hole section here and a little slot. Just push that in there. Make sure you push that all the way in so that it's securely locked into place. Again, do that on this side as well. Just like that. Now, you got a whole bunch of different connecting points here as well. You got two little tabs here and here, as well as here and here. Those are going to really help to lock things in. In addition to that, you got a little clip section right here. That's also going to lock things together. So basically, oh, and then you got holes here. You got a hole here, or you got a little peg here. You got a little hole there. So all sorts of different connecting bits. You got two little hooks right here that are going to hook on there. So basically, the best thing to do is kind of line up one of these outer ones and then slowly push that in. It's hard for me to do it while looking at the screen. So get that there, and then come across, kind of push things along the way as you go, and then lift that up, push that in there. Oh, we're so close. So close, guys. No, I missed it. No, I missed it. There we go. Wait. Right there. Keep that in. Lock that in. There we go. Give that a nice squeeze. And finally, here we have Devastator, complete, massive, fully assembled, and just absolutely gigantic. But here you guys have them, the massive 18-inch tall Combiner Wars Devastator. And you know that I hate when this actually shows, but it's the only way that I can fully display this for you guys. This guy is just massive. And with all the individual problems that I have with the actual Constructicons themselves, when you combine them into Devastator, you get one solid, absolutely incredible piece. And honestly, most people are going to be actually displaying the Constructicons as Devastator. So some of those individual problems you kind of can forget about. And that might have been Hasbro's thought process in this. This guy, though, really is absolutely incredible. And to give a full appreciation, we gotta start with some comparisons. So because we've been using them the entire time so far, here you have him next to the Deluxe Class Alpha Bravo. And this is insane. This is really insane. I can see where people have said that Devastator is probably a little bit too big. But for me, Devastator should be the biggest and most badass, excuse the language, but it's the only adjective that comes to mind when I look at this. He should be towering, and this works beautifully. And then here you have him next to the Combiner Wars Superion. And again, just absolutely gargantuan in size. I mean, the sheer presence of this is really only kind of matched by that Generations Metroplex figure. So here that is, and finally we found a guy who's bigger than Devastator. As you can see, Metroplex is a much taller figure, but this just displays and looks really very cool together. And for one final comparison, here you have him next to his G1 self, and again, absolutely dwarfs it. I really don't know if I can convey the size properly to you guys, but hopefully something like this really does. Until you get this in hand, you can go buy all the videos and the pictures that are available, and it really does not do it justice. In its combined form, Devastator really is one of the most impressive Transformers that I have in my entire collection. Now, Devastator wouldn't be complete unless he had his giant cannon, and in the true Combiner Wars fashion, you combine it just like that. You just take the hand, kind of square it up just like so. You can see that it creates a bit of a square hole right there, and then you just slot it in there, and he holds it very nicely. So that iconic look with his giant blaster is still possible. And just for comparison there, here's his G1 gun. So yeah, something like that. I mean, it's amazing. Now, for his articulation, very well articulated. As I said, this combines very, very securely. So you can move things around and not really feel like it's going to kind of fall apart or anything of that nature. I'm really very impressed with it. I wasn't 100% convinced that the connecting points would be all that great, especially since a lot of the new Combiner War ones have different kind of joint systems, and I think those are very successful. I was really on the fence with this, so I'm very happy to see that these are just as secure. For the head, you can see it looks left and right. It doesn't look up and down or anything, and that just is part of the transformation section. Come around here to the shoulders. You can see both of them here at this section rotate perfectly fine. They move in and out just like so. You got that on both sides as well. They're very stiff, so you do want to be careful as you're doing it, because that could actually knock some things loose. If you're squeezing too hard down here to try to rotate them, that could cause problems. So you do have that swivel in and out. You got a rotation right down here at his elbow. It moves forward and back. The wrists can rotate all the way around. He's got individual finger articulation, well, at least that joint right there. As I said, if you don't attach this, and I think I actually did, if you keep that loose, I mean, you can push it all the way in, but if you don't attach it, you can actually get him rotating here at the waist, so that's a nice added bit right there. But once you bring that all the way in and lock that into place, it keeps him from rotating at the actual waist itself. So it's all personal preference. I like leaving it detached. So these little sections here do move forward so that you can move forward, back, full range of motion there. You do have this joint right here, which does cause some problems when you're trying to move it forward, because in doing it, you want to, or this naturally wants to go as well. So just grab hold of that. But really heavy joint, you can see it holds that very heavy leg section up very nicely. Rotates out, and you can see it holds just perfectly fine. Bringing that all the way down, keeping that angled. It does rotate here at the upper part of the thigh. The actual knee joint, though, is down here, and that's where you can have some problem when you're trying to rotate this. This, well, sometimes pops out, but that's not that bad. But this sort of wants to move, so you do have to be careful when you're doing it and kind of bending that actual joint. It does, like I said, rotate. You do have both Mixmaster and Scrapper have this bend right down here that allows for wider poses, so you can spread these out just like so. Maybe that's one too far. Bend that there, keep that locked up. This, I will say, seems to detach often, but all you do is just push that right back up and lock that down and into place just like so. But you can bend that, and you can get much wider poses with them if you want to. And you can see it stands pretty well. It can hold that pose nicely. So all the articulation that you could possibly want is in this figure. And I mean, as critical as I sounded when I was talking about the individual modes, all of that, like I said, really does kind of disappear when you actually get to Devastator. It's so incredibly impressive. This does detach every now and then. That doesn't hold, but that's not that big a deal. It all really does drift away as you're sitting here playing with this mammoth figure. And price point wise, I really think that they nailed it with this. You're looking at probably at different retails, it's going to fluctuate, but you're looking at about $150, maybe $160. And honestly, I don't think that's bad considering you're getting 6 Voyager figures that all combine into this massive guy. I don't think it's bad. I really do think that this is one of the most impressive things that Hasbro has done in recent years. Now, ultimately for my display, I will be getting the Takara one. That's the one that I want to have as a collector. But the offering here by Hasbro is not something that should be taken lightly. While that Takara one I feel is a smidge better and takes the individual modes just a little bit further. Combined wise, I don't really think it changes too terribly much. You will be getting a head that can be swapped. It has 2 different heads. Also, paint wise, he'll be coming with purple hands, which is a little bit more cartoon accurate. But again, even if you decide to get the Hasbro one, I think that you're going to be absolutely thrilled with your decision. And honestly, it's a little bit unfortunate that Hasbro didn't also release that Takara one, because I feel that Hasbro's getting a bad rap for putting out a bad toy when this is not a bad toy at all. This guy really is great. So right now he is slowly starting to trickle out to various retail locations. Or as always, there's Big Bad Toy Store. So all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Big Bad Toy Store where you can pick this up and you can add them to your collection today. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/teambotimus and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. Also, I'd encourage you to check out my website at optibotimusreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, see what I have coming up for future release, and also get your very own Optibotimus t-shirt. And finally, I'd also really appreciate it, guys, that if you like this review, don't forget to please like and comment, and be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a future review. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
Class dismissed.